Hey everybody, it's Matt Michaels here on the DeFalco Files with the owner and creator of FSW, the Future Stars of Wrestling here in Las Vegas, Mr. Joe DeFalco. Joe, it is fight week.
Yes, it is. There's a lot going on. Obviously, normally it's the big 4 or 5 casino shows, so we're getting ready to do the second to last one of the year. We got another one in November. Uh, all our casino shows have themes to it,
Right?
and this theme is the tribute to the Survivor Series with a little take on it to where it's surviving. So it isn't just Survivor Series type matches. And right now we have 6 matches slated for the main show just because we want to give everything some time. We have 3 actual, just the way it worked out, that they're all going to be Survivor Series type elimination matches, along with a gauntlet match. And the first ever the cash in the case on the line versus being somebody's servant match. And then the main event is going to be just a wrestling match. That's the gimmick. No gimmicks necessary. Sponsored by Taz, by the way. No gimmicks necessary.
um, when you think about that idea and concept, it goes back now, what, 12 years, something like that. It's one of the longer running ones you've done, right?
Yeah, the mistake we ever made was not, it's kind of like WrestleMania has a number, but
Right.
SummerSlam doesn't.
Right.
And for a little while, we would number No Escape 3 or whatever it was, but it's, the anniversary is the only one that has the number. That's our WrestleMania because it's the year. No
Right.
Escape is, hey, we know that's the steel cage match show. Against All Odds became Luck of the Draw because of TNA. And that's the Rumble show. And Survival of the Fittest could be anything. It could be a I Quit match. It could be a Iron Man match. It could be a gauntlet match. It could be a tournament. It could be Survivors. It always includes Survivor Series type eliminations.
Right.
So, I remember going back to the Silverton and we did a tournament, and I remember Lance Hoyt being in it because I remember he wrestled Graves. But there's some big names that have been, involved in Survival of the Fittest. I know we've done some Ironmans.
Yep.
It's always trying to come up with something interesting, intriguing, something cool. And, seems like the buzz is good. Front row, we're not sold out yet, but we're getting close. We got about 12 seats left.
Yeah.
And that's still not counting some of the regulars who haven't gotten back to me yet.
Yeah.
And we always kind of, reserve them. It also doesn't count with the Silverton. So, I finally got an update and I was like, oh, we got 18 sold through there and we were at 50 something through us. Because
Oh,
again, the
yeah.
majority of them go through us. And then I looked last year and through the Silverton website, we sold 7 tickets
Wow.
online. So we're at 18 now.
Damn.
So the majority of our fans, the regulars, come through us.
Right.
So, as we've stated, since, March of of this earlier this year with the Chris Bay stuff and then WrestleMania, it seems like the casino numbers, even though we're always cautious and we're worried and, for a while there was a little bit of a lull, it seems to have been a good buzz. And it seems to be that, there's a lot more people who purchase tickets. Same thing for Moment of Truth, where, you get a breakdown through Eventbrite of tickets being sold. And I'm like, I don't know who that person is.
Huh?
Or, we keep a running log. So it's like I will take the email names and add them to our list. And it's crazy how many fans who have never purchased tickets through Eventbrite are now purchasing tickets. So it's the buzz, maybe some TV spots, maybe Cross being at the show, at the Chris Bay show,
Right.
a lot of combinations of, wrestling being a little more popular, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're excited
that's
about it.
yeah, that's got to be, that's got to be a factor. And the way things kind of ebb and flow with wrestling. Um, you know, when you started FSW, wrestling was in that kind of, you know, stagnant phase because people, were in that WWE, you know, I guess family friendly era where the same people were winning, the stuff people were always talking trash about, how, you know, it was the same stuff, et cetera, et cetera. But I think what, fans forget is it's that re-rise when the reach starts hitting kids again, and I think that you see that reflective there's more of families taking kids to wrestling shows again because it's a popular thing to talk about in schools again.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the kids class that we have that, it seems like there's much more interest. You know, for a long time in the kids class, for example, it was mainly boys and you'd have a random girl or two. Hey, Sandra
Right.
Moon came with Laz, but now it became over the last couple of years much more of an influx.
Yeah.
And it's like now all of a sudden there's instead of 10 or 11, boys and one or two girls, now it's, four or five girls mixed in. Oh yeah, and who's your favorite wrestler? And now, hey, it's Charlotte Flair or it's Bianca or whatever it is, and you know, it's kind of transcending again.
Yeah.
Back when I was a little kid, the reason I got involved in the wrestling, my great grandmother loved it. You know, my parents did not watch wrestling at
Yeah.
all, but my abuela, man, she loved the Olympic Auditorium wrestling we used to watch from the NWA back in 1975 with Chavo Guerrero and Roddy Piper and Terry Funk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I used to watch it on Channel 9 WOR, where it was Bruno Sammartino and Superstar Billy Graham. I'd watch that at midnight on Saturday by myself. My dad never dug wrestling whatsoever.
Yeah.
My mom never really dug wrestling at all. When I got involved in wrestling, she was always cool with it and stuff. But, you know, that was a generational thing of my great grandmother, because I'm not even sure my grandmother or grandfather were into wrestling, which was, her mother.
Yeah.
And somehow me and her bonded over the wrestling stuff. So yeah, and it's funny how it cycles and full circles and all that stuff. And at the casino shows, we generally will see more of an influx of younger kids.
Right. Yep. And hopefully we'll see a lot of younger kids at Survival of the Fittest, which would be phenomenal because there's some larger than life things going on with some of these matches. Uh, this tag team match, uh, number one contendership is what we're looking at essentially, right?
Technically, right. Except if one team sweeps the board and there's four guys left. Now what do we do?
Right.
It's not it's not impossible. It's not impossible for something like that to happen. But you got some strong teams there. You got some young teams there. It's hard for me to believe that all these teams in there, there's not going to be multiple eliminations.
Right.
Regulators coming back, they had a great opportunity some months ago to become number one contenders, and then injuries, and then they dropped off. It's like, it's crazy because the way teams, they implode, they get injuries. The last champs, it's crazy to think that Makeshift Chemistry, who were our champs, the young kids who shocked the world, they are nowhere to be seen due to injuries.
Right.
And a little update, they both started back in training, so they're trying to get over, talk to Fox a little bit, and he's hoping. Same thing with AJ. They're looking for an October return, so we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the tag team division is so stacked. Who says that those guys are coming back as a tag team?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully, for the fans' sake, they do. But because see, that's the other thing too, which is kind of a fascinating thing, right? Is the idea of when you have a popular tag team like that, as a promoter, as someone who is, coming up with the matches and the storylines, it's always interesting to know that you can play that little long game with a tag team and have that popularity to the point where if one of them turns on the other, now you have instant heel heat for that person going forward, which I think is always one of my favorite things about tag teams is when they pull the break up where it's legit, where that person now establishes themselves as a heel and the other guy becomes a baby face because they're already so over with the fans.
Yeah. They shocked the world. They became extremely relevant. They became extremely popular. And then it was like, boom. They both had some issues, and they were out for a long period of time, which gave, a lot of other teams opportunities. And the Mariachi Montañas, who've gotten better and better. And then they're getting a little love from the slap fight thing, and the
Right.
Suavecitos are back, and they've been targeting the Mariachis, who in reality have had a hard time trying to, slide into that tag team championship match. And Class and Reno, they're guys who kind of took a step back and reset. The PC Express, and the guy who was part of their crew, Jaden Monroe, those young kids, they want to do their own thing. And RJ Wild's his boy, and now they're Young Money, and they're quickly becoming, somebody to reckon with, in that. And Lights Camera Faction, for a little while, Watson broke off, and, he's been killing it in the tag and in the singles. So it's like, where's his focus?
Right. Oh. And we lost Joe. Wonderful. Kind of look at some of these matches here. The main event will be Greg Sharp, G Sharp, the champion of FSW, going against Ice Williams. Ice trying to become champion once again, held that belt for a while, then won it at the last casino show, only to have Greg cash in, and G Sharp became champion over Ice. It's going to be a fascinating show of basically what these two can do one-on-one with no frills, and having that as a gimmick in itself should be a proving ground for both guys. Ice doesn't have much to prove. G Sharp doesn't have much to prove to everyone who knows them, but as two guys, two competitors, one on one in the ring, these guys have a lot to prove to each other. And one of these guys will show that they are the better man. And we got Joe Beck.
Yeah, that was weird. Your thing started circling, so I thought it was you. And then all of a sudden, my thing was like, oh, something went wrong. So.
Well, that's all right. So, talking a little bit here about G Sharp and Ice Williams, they're basically going to prove it to each other who's better. I think that
you got the one guy who had that chip on his shoulder, Gregory Sharp, who, finally became one of the longest running Nevada state champions ever, and did what he had to do, and he's become the heavyweight champion. And Ice was one of our longest reigning heavyweight champions. Yeah. Got the belt for the second time, but only lose it in a matter of seconds. So, Ice is the guy who walked in the business, got the accolades, got the WWE ID thing, within 5 years. Sharp's the world traveler, 12, 13 years before he won a belt. But it also took him 10 years of hard work and all that other stuff to all of a sudden, get seen to where he got to be on New Japan shows. Yeah. And he had that long journey. You have the Chris Bays and the Crosses and the Ice Williams who, oh man, I can't believe this took 4 years. And then you got the guys, the Danny Limelights, the Gregory Sharps, the Jacob Austin Youngs, that they're plodding away for years and years and years. And they're looking at these motherfuckers like, man, we've been doing this 10 years. And if you think you guys are any better than us, you're fucking nuts.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's kind of like that old school meets the new school.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's a great point.
And look at Gregory Sharp. He's a guy who did what he had to do. Not only became one of our best wrestlers, but he also became a hated wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was like, you know what? I'm tired of doing it the right way. But by getting to the position where he got in, now you can't not acknowledge how good he is.
Right.
And all of a sudden, as the rise started to happen, people started respecting the game.
Yeah.
To where it's like, yeah, this guy is really, really good, man. He's wrestling good people, having good matches. Man, people are paying attention to who he is. He's one of our guys. He's an FSW guy. Yeah. And you kind of saw it to where the crowd went crazy when Ice Williams beat Danny Limelight. He beat that hated villain. And all of a sudden, Sharp came in, and I was concerned to be not really concerned, but like, how is the crowd going to react? And there was a bigger roar because holy shit, Gregory Sharp, man, I saw that kid when he was 21 years old.
Yeah,
man, he's been putting in the time. He's been putting in the work. And all of a sudden there's that respect level for somebody who they've seen for years and years do it and do it well.
That brings a very good question in terms of the mind of storytelling. And you look at it and you go, okay, so you have a pop like that. And I think that it's that anticipation too, that cash-in is about to happen. What happens if you decide, you know what? We're going to go a different way. And Ice actually beats Sharp. Would that then change your trajectory and essentially, in the eyes of fans, make Sharp the sympathetic, depending on how the finish was? So that now Ice becomes the heel and G Sharp becomes the face. Is it, is it those types of things you can actually potentially play in terms of the storytelling, when you have two guys that fans know and have appreciated for such a long time?
Well, as we've seen the business with Unreal a little bit, and I don't think as much as people made it out to be, because I really enjoyed that show.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
95% of it was stuff that was information that was cool. There might have been a couple of things where I saw it where I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would have did that, but that's okay. That's how everybody is.
right,
But I think the ice thing is, I guess it depends on how it is, because we didn't really do anything to say, hey, fans, okay, now it's time to cheer Ice Williams because
right,
he's a baby face. They were doing the same thing, and the crowd chose. Same thing with Cross. That
yeah,
was the biggest baby face turn. We helped push it along, but that was because the fans were getting behind him. There was no plans to make Kevin Cross a baby face.
yeah,
He was a villain. He was a monster. And he showed up on WWE Monday Night Raw. And the crowd was like, oh shit, that's our fucking boy. He's on Monday Night Raw. Fucking great.
yeah,
Same thing. Ice Williams is signed the WWE ID. You get to see him on Evolve. You want to see the guys that you saw. I saw just a post right while I'm talking to you about Eli Everfly posted about wrestling Brody King at a birthday party show. Okay. And I posted back, I'm like, yeah, I remember when Chris Bay, I'm pretty sure, did a birthday party show, and it's like a kid who got that opportunity to see, if it's possible it was Cross, saw them working at a birthday party, is going to be something that they are going to remember for the
yeah,
rest of their life. Everything in wrestling is about moments. I go back from when I was a little kid talking about the stuff with my great grandmother, and I always remember the Chavo Guerrero thing. And then when I got the opportunity to meet Chavo, I had to tell that story pretty much every time I saw Chavo Guerrero at the Nitro Grill, which wasn't
yeah,
100 times, but it was 5 times. I had to tell Chavo Guerrero's, which is Chavo Guerrero Sr., Chavo
right,
Classic. I would have to tell his wife the story about watching it with my abuela. I had to tell Chavo Jr. the story about it when I was with Chavo Jr.,
yeah,
and there's always those moments. Or you're talking about Hogan, and I talk about when I was watching him versus the Warrior with my buddy Sal, and his wife had friends over looking at us like we were madmen, going nuts, fucking screaming at the TV. And that's what wrestling's all about. And Ice Williams is now that Kevin Cross of
right,
FSW, that they see him on the verge of getting there.
right,
We're about to announce Jacob Austin Young will be back in September. He's taking a break from, New Japan. He's been
yeah.
living in fucking Japan for the last year almost. That's why we haven't seen Jacob Austin there. He's like, hey, I got some dates in September. Love to come back. Nah, we're okay, Jake. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, here's a guy who uprooted his life
Yeah,
and moved to Las Vegas just to train here because he felt it was his best path to get somewhere.
right,
So I'm pretty sure when Jacob Austin Young shows up, there's going to be, there's always the JAY chance. They love him. Jay Vidal gets signed by TNA. It becomes a different thing.
yeah,
Jay was a little on the dark side. So, but when they understand it's a business and they understand the business. And when they see one of ours
yeah,
get there, they feel they were along for the journey. So when it comes to Ice Williams, it's probably going to be 50-50 split, even though we haven't done anything to make you. We didn't say, hey, okay, we're good. We didn't push him down your throat like Roman Reigns, where they hated him even though he was a baby face.
Right. Yeah.
You know, G Sharp is kind of like that tweener guy that he's so respected by the fans. He's a great worker. He's a great talker. You know, it's hard to make a great worker and a great talker hated.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you want to see in a wrestler. You know you're going to get a really good match. You know you're going to get a really good promo. You know you're going to get a really good back and forth. So Ice Williams, everybody knows you're going to get a good promo. Everybody knows you're going to get good banter.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So it makes it kind of weird because it's a lot easier when there's somebody you hate, like Danny Limelight, versus somebody you like a lot, which is Ice Williams. Now, we helped Ice Williams because we put him with Danny Limelight.
Right.
You put Ricky Tenacious with Danny Limelight, there's a good chance a lot more people are going to cheer a Ricky Tenacious who doesn't really get a lot of cheers, but people find him entertaining. Right. So there's going to be people like, oh, yeah, I hate that fucking Limelight. Unless, you know, hey, Danny, we're going to turn you babyface. We're going to make sure your daughter's your manager from now on. Well, you know, that's definitely a possibility. So, you know, you got this match. You got Dante King. He's at the head of the table. You know, he's on the throne waiting for the three guys, you know, spin the wheel, make the deal. Who's going to start the match? So, you know, somebody is going to have to win 3 times if they want to be the champion.
Or once. Well, twice.
Well, right. But if you enter first, if you're the first match, you have to win 3 times.
Which means Ricky's going to have a hard chase going here. Because I got a feeling that the Songbird, you know, his luck, he's going to have to, you know, prove that he can go through 3 guys to win that belt.
So, you know, that's the gauntlet match. That's the luck of the gauntlet, you know. Yeah. Obviously, the champion is the champion, you know, so he has to be last. He has to be the guy you have to get to beat. So that's part of that survival mode, you know, of survival of the fittest. Because, hey, you know what? We just did an Iron Man match with Ice and Danny Limelight at the last casino show. Can't repeat it. So, yeah, that'd be great to have an Iron Man match in there. But we did that, you know, keeping it fresh, you know. I saw you posted the women's thing.
Yep.
You know, I jokingly called them the outsiders because, you know, they really haven't been in FSW at all. And they just moved to Vegas. We got 2 AEW superstars, you know, Layla Gray, Trisha Dora. They're, you know, seen on TV. Black Swan, she's been injured. She's a local, you know, she trained elsewhere. Now she's come to the fold. And they're all looking to make a name for themselves because, you know, Gypsy and Brittany, they've kind of dominated the division with Zamaya and Maz, who are involved in their own thing. So most people are like, oh, they're not in that match. Well, yeah, because they're in the 5-on-5. So Dana Lynn, who wrestled for us on shows at 16 and then went to school and took care of other life things, you know, she's made her return. And she's getting back into the mix. So this is, you know, the biggest high-profile match. Sure, she's had, you know, good opportunity at an FSW arena show, but this is the first time I believe she's going to wrestle, you know, in front of the big crowd.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And we're excited. Production values. We got our people at Dye Color. They got the video walls, and we're in the process of putting together a beautiful 15-foot by 12-foot video wall as the entrance.
Nice.
So we're going to get rid of the old school projector, screen. We can't get rid of the projector, so there's a good chance some back body drops might knock them out. But so we're really setting things up for the big time. This Sunday at 5:00. So we got a pre-show match that's going to feature. You got Jay Vidal. We talked about with Bateman. Jay Vidal and the Craw Bateman. Jay Vidal thought he was going to be the cash in the case winner. And to be honest, he's been a fucking pest, a thorn in the side of Bateman. So, what comes out of that? Hey, we get a really cool singles match.
Yeah. And potentially Jay looking pretty sexy in a maid outfit if he loses. So
yeah, and they had their match, and it was a little controversial. I believe at the anniversary show, where out of nowhere Bateman turned, and he says he thought it was Jay Vidal. If you look at it, well, something was coming from the side, and he knocked out the referee. It's hard for me to believe, Bateman wasn't in danger of losing, but at that point, you don't know what it works in somebody's mind, or maybe he thinks he can't put him away. We don't know, but now that there's a lot on the line, and if Bateman gets DQ'd or counted out, he's going to lose the case. So I'm not too sure he wants to go that route.
Right. You said pre-show match. What have you decided on finally for the pre-show?
On one side, we know Demir and Davion, they're going to kind of blow things off at the Future Shock coming up August 30th. So we're going to put them on the opposite sides, of course. So Future Shock August 30th, 5 p.m. the day before the women's show on the 31st. So I'm going to take one break because my dog needs to go outside. So let me let him out, or he'll bark the whole time.
Yeah, of course. Again, as Survival of the Fittest shapes up here for Sunday at 5 p.m. at the Silverton, you can see the card here is stacked, and there's a lot of setup here for things like the tag team title in the future. The women's match, what is going to be the fallout for the women's show on the 31st. And like we were just talking about here, the pre-show. So we have the Killer D's setting up.
So we got Demir Morningstar.
Yep.
He will be kind of leading, his team.
Right.
And Davion will be leading his team, which will include Brandon G. It'll include Luke Curtis.
Okay.
And I guess I got to look. I'm, starting to draw blanks. I was just looking at it too.
And the last thing you want to do is just start saying names in which all of a sudden someone's like, "Wait, what? I'm wrestling on that show."
Yeah. So, and it's supposed to be Colin Muldoon.
Okay.
So trying to use, the majority of the young Future Shock guys. And then we have Demir Morningstar, Adrian Rain, Jaden Coles earned himself a spot. And he just came back from Japan. So just verifying he'll be there. I'm pretty sure he will. But I think because of everything that he has done over certain people who I haven't really seen, Jeffrey Excellence will probably get the finals.
Yeah. That's a solid, and that's a great showcase for those guys. And and again, Future Shock will be on the 30th. So you can check that out when that comes. Now, we do have one more match here for Survival of the Fittest, and it's the Heroes versus the MK Army. All right. So, you see a lot of chatter now because this man here said, hey, life is fighting, right? Now accepting bookings, business at killerkross.com. And you see when you post anything that has that empty spot on a team, Joe, I think at least 1, 2, 3 comments all say Cross, question mark, Cross.
And I'm going to be 100% honest. I have had conversations with Kevin. We talk. We've always talked.
Yeah.
Sometimes we might go a month or so without talking, and sometimes we might go a month where I talk to him 10 times. And then usually through text, there's some phone calls, obviously, and the idea of when we were setting this match up, it was going to be a mystery partner. Now, we had no idea that Kevin would even be available. So it wasn't like, hey, we knew 3 months ago,
Correct.
And I'll be 1,000% honest with you. I would love for Killer Kross to come back and be the mystery partner, but I would be the worst fucking businessman in the world if I got Kevin to come to our show Sunday and not tell any motherfuckers that this guy was going to be at the show.
Well, worst businessman.
Or would I?
Or Tony
would
Khan.
I?
Right. It's a Tony Khan move right there because the surprise is the biggest, thing to get people to watch the next show.
Somebody specifically, one of our fans asked me yesterday, and it'd be like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Well, wouldn't you think I would advertise it?" And it was like, "Yeah, I get that, but he could be like Moxley showing up." And it's like, okay, well, first off, Kevin was behind the whole Moxley thing, but we were at the FSW arena,
right,
and we had sold out that show. There was no more tickets left.
Right.
And when I say I didn't know John Moxley was going to be there an hour and a half before the show started, I'm not lying. Kevin didn't tell me. He wouldn't tell me. Put 500 aside. And I'm thinking, oh, shit, we're going to get Chuck Liddell. We're going to get Tito Ortiz. Like, no thought in anybody's mind was John Moxley was going to be there.
Right.
Now, if Kevin wants to take a flight and visit family and show up Sunday, what am I going to do? Tell him no at the door?
Joe, it is CAC, and who knows, guy's got some time now. Maybe he goes and visits
right, who knows? Maybe MK makes a deal on the dark side, and maybe we have an NWO situation. But I digress. I never bring somebody in and made a surprise. Or would I? But hey, you know what? We know who the surprise is. It is a big surprise. It's very exciting, and But if Kevin wants to show up, he's more than welcome. I'm gonna be. I'm gonna shoot, as they say. As of 2-3 days ago, I've talked to Kevin a couple times. Close to the best. Talked to Remy, who talks to him, and we really kind of thought, I think he's working us because, Kev's good that way. He's not gonna tell us, regardless of what everybody thinks. Kevin's not gonna come right out and say things. Right. And it's crazy. It really is crazy that what he does tell me ends up kind of being the truth from everything from what he said, because I'm not exposing anything that he said, because he's now said it on Ariel Helwani and all the others. When I had talked with him, he had mentioned that he was pretty certain. Now, this is when we did the Chris Bay show. So this was in March. He knew his contract was coming up in the summer. He knew, it was going to be interesting to see, because in March, he was just starting to get, that where the crowd was like, wow, the fans used to always kind of be against him on Twitter. And they were starting to all of a sudden, band together and were very interested in what story was being portrayed. And I even mentioned it to him, and I was like, hey, it's kind of crazy. You go on Twitter now, and a lot of people are like, oh, Kross, he sucks. He's a bum. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, really liking Kross. And now we fast forward. As of the day, I didn't know 2-3 weeks ago, but Remy had told me, Kevin said that the contract was up on that Friday, which was August 10th. And nobody knew that yet, but we knew August 10th was coming up. And as of, August 3rd or whatever it was, he told us, that he hasn't been offered a contract. Yeah, sure. So again, everything he's told us is kind of been what it is. And I found out yesterday by, seeing the show and putting pieces together, they're talking about Scarlett wasn't even offered anything yet, that, I guess this isn't a work. I think this is legit. Now, do I know more than you? Not really.
Right.
Because he's said his contract expired, which it has. It's really weird because, we're all junior detectives. And it's like, there's no way WWE is going to give guy who's leaving in 4 or 5 days a high-profile match on SummerSlam. That ain't going to happen. It's got to be signed. But it's like, wow, if this is a work in this day and age, man, it's very intricate. Because we just talked about Seth Rollins. Oh, I pulled off the ruse of the century.
Right.
No, you didn't, because your coworkers fucking exposed it. It would have been if you didn't do a good enough job working the boys, because, you can't work the boys. Well, if you did, it would have all came out. At least we were still under the impression it might be a work. But we were all under the impression because of Twitter. 20 years ago, that never would have happened. It would have been like, oh my God, I thought fucking Seth Rollins' knee was fucked up.
Right.
So, in my opinion, this whole thing with Kevin is legit. Now, will he come back? Maybe. But this goes beyond if Triple H likes him, because, we've always heard that. And with Triple H. And Triple H liked Braun Strowman. That's why they re-signed him, and then they released him again. And where's Braun Strowman? Braun Strowman has a show that the WWE is producing, and they still released him.
Right. He's
got a show that WWE is producing, and he's motherfucking TKO.
Yeah. Yep.
They're funding the show that he is going to be on USA, and he's motherfucking him, over the Kross situation.
Yeah.
And Paul Heyman's coming out and saying, oh, this movement is fantastic. That's why I believed it had to be a work.
Well, and don't forget too, what we've seen now is the willingness for them to take someone like Natalia, let her work NWA, let her work Barnett.
Yeah,
There is,
I'm saying let me. I hope it is a work. Maybe you'll let Kevin work our shows again.
well, and that's the whole thing. Who's to say there's not uh, a handshake deal in place? You know, something going on, something signed, whatever, that is allowing this time period for Kevin to do the book stuff, possibly show up on various independent shows, get that train and buzz rolling, and somehow work back in. It's just, but this is the brilliance of Kevin. This is
This
why we
is the
love
best
Kevin.
situation that any wrestler could ever be in,
Yes.
because if it's a work, he can now go and make money elsewhere
Yep.
and still be paid by WWE.
Yep.
Okay. If it's not a work, he's going to be able to monetize everything he's doing because people think it's a work. So, yeah, maybe AEW is not going to give him a call, but he is now going to be able to charge double of what he would have normally got because people think it's a work. Because if I'm not mistaken, many years ago, they did that with CM Punk with the gray area, where CM Punk, even though he was signed, didn't he work some of those indie shows? Yet he was still.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think Bunny was like the pipe bomb, and it was like I quit.
Yeah.
They wanted to make it real, so they let him work a couple of things. But now Kevin could go out to the conventions, and he can go out and book himself at a higher price because he's fresh off a SummerSlam match. Like I always told the story, like when Drew McIntyre wrestled for me and I had to pay him X amount of dollars. I didn't really want to pay him that. And it was like, why not? And it was like, well, he was in 3MB and he probably wasn't on TV for 6 months, 8 months. And if he was on TV, they were jobbing out to everybody. So they were put in the worst situation when they came out.
Right.
All these guys, when they get released, they're either not on TV because they get pulled.
Right.
And they get pulled, but the 3 or 4 months before they get pulled, it's Job City. So they're putting you at your lowest point. Who was ever released that is at the top position that they could be in? Kevin has never been in a better position in WWE as he was on Friday, August 10th.
Right.
So whether he helped manipulate that or WWE, who we know, could let things, the only other time it happened was when Jeff Jarrett had to put over China and he fucking banged them for some more money.
Right. Well, and you said, I think this goes to show if it's legit on that sense of, the contract was up and whatnot. The one thing is that, I love how people like to bash Hunter. Oh, he doesn't know how to book. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And the honest answer is that going back to conversation I had with DDP almost like 15 years ago, Hunter was the guy who he always was welcoming of people. And if Hunter took an interest in Kevin, liked Kevin's work, likes Kevin as a person, then Hunter might have done this so that even if TKO was like, hey, you got to cut this salary, that salary, whatever, that Hunter was not affecting his brand going out because he saw where it was, which would be a guy doing another guy a solid because it leaves him going out on the momentum, leaves these questions, leaves the fans wanting more, and essentially will allow Kevin to make more money. And I think that's fabulous. If that's the legit case, that's great.
But okay, here's a scenario and a what if and all the other stuff. So technically, Kross wasn't supposed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia. The match got added.
Right.
Because Dominic Mysterio either didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia or he was injured.
Right.
Again, they've clouded that issue as we're not sure. The Seth Rollins thing, we're not sure. The Karrion Kross thing, we're not sure. It's like in the day and age when they've come out with Unreal, and in the day and age of everything gets put on Twitter and everything gets put on this and everything gets put on that, they've maybe come up with a way to try to work people.
Right.
So, as I've always said, people want to believe that those two guys have a beef in the ring. They want to believe he took a shot on him. They want to believe Brock Lesnar doesn't really like that guy, and they show the thing of where he fucking knocked somebody out. Because they want to believe that they went off script. And now they finally learned how to play that up. So now, in a day and age when we know everything before it happens, we now don't know.
Right.
And Kevin's not going to give it away by telling me.
No.
Because he probably, he probably can't tell the fucking guys in the locker room who are probably asking. Because the best way that works is 95% of it is real.
Yeah.
Go watch Unreal. And there's little bits and pieces. Like, yeah, I was kind of like, nobody's putting the belt on Kevin Owens. But when we, as bookers, promoters, and I've had 50 scenarios over stuff. I could throw something out, whether it's joking or not, or Disco Inferno says, yeah, we're going to have these little alien creatures with the thing on their head. He's busting balls, joking around, mixed in a serious thing. But the idiots of the world, Disco Inferno's a fucking moron. He wants to have an alien creature and building and that stuff, and he tells the story. He was by himself. He got there early and he went on the board and he wrote some stupid shit because if you know Disco, he's a funny motherfucker. Most people don't understand. He's a funny motherfucker, and you need to have fun and you're goofing around. Once in a blue moon, that fucked up, stupid, crazy idea ends up working. When Remy says to me, hey, what about having Young Boy win the fucking title? And I go, yeah, right. You're out of your fucking mind, And then you stop and you think, and then it's like, hey, Kev, what do you think about this? Hey, Hammerstone, what do you think about this? That was an idea that was brought about that it was probably 3/4 joking from Remy, but he thought that it might be there. And now he got it in my head, and we had some time, and we had a show, which we already announced that this show at the Silverton is going to be a steel cage match, Hammerstone versus Kross for the heavyweight title. So now Remy just throws out the idea. He doesn't have, okay, here's a 5-page thing of exactly how it's going to work. All he says is, how about Young Boy wins the title? Now it came up to me to come up with the scenario. Hey, Hammer, what do you think? You offer a title shot to anybody in the back who's never had an opportunity before. That way you eliminate a lot of really good wrestlers and stuff like that. Why isn't, Sean Ricker, LA Knight taking the match? Why doesn't Kross come out and take the match then? Things like that. And now you're trying to do scenarios. and the feud is still Kevin and Hammerstone. Oh shit, the referee gets knocked out. Oh shit, Kevin gives a Saito to Hammerstone. But literally, if you watch that match, it probably went 8 minutes, and Young Boy hit Hammerstone with one move, an enziguri that Hammerstone no-sold. I've never seen a guy get his ass beat more in a match, even in jobber matches, than that match.
Right.
But the Saito onto the chair. Young Boy's already dead because the referee's out. Okay. Kross then puts the dead carcass on top of Hammerstone. And it was kind of like when Matt Hardy won, the crowd, finally the referee comes to 1, 2, and they hesitate on the 3 because they figure there's going to be a kick out. And everybody's looking around like, holy fuck, what just happened? You just made a moment.
Yeah.
That never would have been.
Yeah.
And now Young Boy gets to be in the main event in a steel cage. And was perfect for Kevin because he didn't have to lose to Hammerstone.
Right.
You know, yeah. Hope never loses to Macho Man.
Right.
And,
yeah.
But it ended up being something built out of craziness.
Yeah.
And that's why you talk to people. You know, early on, it was always me. I didn't really, you know, and then, you know, occasionally being modest, but he didn't really have that interest. And Remy became that guy who had that, liked ideas. Hey, what if this? What if that? You know, there's plenty of times I'll go into stuff. Chris Bay, same way now. What do you think if we did this? Right. It's like, yeah, whatever. You know, sounds good. You know, if you, as long as you're getting to where we need to be, I'm cool with it. But now you have a lot of those. You know, Cody will have the idea. Jacob Austin Young would have the idea. Sharp would have the idea. Now Ice will have the idea. There's so many guys. A line might have an idea. It's almost like having 20 booking partners.
Sure.
You know, some have ideas for their stuff, but a lot of them have ideas for other people's stuff. And I think that's what's made it a lot easier. It's like,
yeah,
I'm going to do what I'm going to do, obviously. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's so many things that have been brought on of who wants to work who. Hey, we're trying to do stuff. What do you think? Hey, I'm coming back. What are you looking at? Hey, what do you think? Sometimes it's like, hey, Jacob Austin Young, now, you know, you want to work. You know, the first question I ask him, well, who would you like to work? You know, that's important because if he says, hey, I watched some of your stuff. I really want to work Jaden Cole. I really want to work Dante King. I'm going to make sure that that's who Jacob Austin Young works.
Right.
Because that's a great opportunity for somebody else. It's not about Jacob Young's opportunity. Jacob Austin Young is here because he wants to give back. It's the only reason he's doing this. He loves FSW. He appreciates what we have helped him do. And now he wants to give opportunities. So he's got an opportunity, just like he is in Arizona, isn't it, where he's now moved back to.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, hey, he was a guy who was very instrumental in turning me on to Damien Desire.
Yeah.
And that was when the conversation was had about, well, that's cool, but I don't need another outside guy who's working 4 different shows in town. So, you know, I know Cody's banged up, but hey, Transcendence claims they're the greatest tag team in FSW history. They've had the belt 3 or 4 months, but they've beaten Sky High. They've beaten Lights Camera Faction. They've beaten some champions. Right. How cool would it be for one night only Death Proof versus Transcendence? Because, you know, Jacob Austin Young would probably do it because he's good friends like to have a match with them. Now, I doubt that's going to happen, but you never know, because that's what's in my head when I'm thinking, hey,
Right.
you know, it would be cool. Hey, it'd be cool to bring back, you know, these guys want to brag about being the great champions that they are. Well, what if we did a match and we had Royce and Jarrell come back, or Clutch and Sugar Brown, or Manly and Remy Marcel? Not that this stuff could happen, but you don't know if you don't try to find out.
Right. And if you dig up Manly.
Yeah. You know, Dave, believe me, I asked Dave Mazzani if he's heard from him, and he knows him from Alaska and he knows him from Vegas. And he said he didn't even know Manly was in Vegas when he met him again, because he was doing the wrestling, and he was like, holy shit, Jack Manly, what the fuck you doing in Vegas? Oh, I live here, blah, 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 blah. Because he's the ultimate nomad. But what I'm saying is, if you don't think of these crazy scenarios, they could never happen to begin with.
Right.
I think of the weirdest matches. I jokingly say, blah, 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 blah. And I know 99, it 100% can happen, but it does happen. Like, hey, WWE said something. Hey, Kevin, what are the odds of we getting you back here for something? Because I read one thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And before that, he's the one who messaged me about it. Yeah. And it was kind of like, okay, it looks like that ain't never going to happen again. And it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But it did. So there are so many things that you swear, hey, this guy will never wrestle for me again. Oh, that guy will never come back. You know, you joke about Alcatraz or whatever. Tyshawn Prince. Well, hey, Tyshawn had a bug up his ass, and we inducted him into the Hall of Fame, and he ended up doing the Battle Royal out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't bring up that scenario, shit, Bryce Harrison showed up out of nowhere at the fucking show last year. Like, all of a sudden I'm at the door, happened to be at the door. Like, Atox is working the door. I'm not really working it. So he would have got in. He already had a ticket. And I just happened to be there right at that time. Like, holy fuck, what are you doing here? You know? And I tried. Hey, got one more match in you, brother? Oh, no, I'm done. But I've also heard a bunch of people say I'm done, but they've come back for a match. You know, for the 20th anniversary, wouldn't I want to have some old school guy from 15 years ago? You know, we've had some crazy things happen where people that we never think on a show. Some goofball, Punisher Martinez, wanted to work the fucking show the day before the pandemic closed everything down, and Ring of Honor canceled. And it was a Mecca, and the show was totally booked. I'll work for $100. It's like, dude, that, you know, everything's set. We don't really have anything, blah, 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 blah. Who knew Punisher Martinez would become Damian fucking Priest that I would have had on my show for $100 out of nowhere?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you did your homework, Joe, you would have known that Punisher Martinez was amazing.
Well, he wasn't that amazing in Ring of Honor. It's amazing how a 35-year-old guy in Ring of Honor was just there, is now a main event player at 40. Like, he has reached in the biggest company in the world, he's reached a higher status than he did in smaller companies, because he was never a superstar in Ring of Honor.
No, the highest level was television champ, and he ditched that belt on his way out to NXT here in Vegas to Cobb on that ROH show, the last one he did. So
his biggest mistake. If he would have hit me up, he's like, "Hey, I'm a fellow Boricua. If I knew he was Puerto Rican, I would have got him on the show." You know,
that would have been, you know,
coming too. We might be doing a Boricua show Mania week. That's another on the board.
Hey, speaking of, one of the things we've mentioned him a couple times, but got to give big congratulations to Danny for taking that title of Booker T's down there at was this past weekend.
Yeah, it's a crazy retirement tour that he has. I wonder if he needs his boots back.
Well, it's just kind of interesting how your belt and Marquez's belt. He loses both of those. It looks like he's going away, and then all of a sudden, Reality of Wrestling comes knocking, and new champion.
Well, he has claimed, again, he's claimed that the end of 2025.
Yeah,
that was his claim from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then a month later, he's like, hey, and then he posted about him and Slice Boogie doing tag stuff. Hey, Joe, dude, I thought you're done. You left your boots in the ring. It's like, okay. So I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
But in his defense, man, when the opportunities are there and you still have it in you, it's hard to pass up, right?
Well, I told him, and I'll see you again in 3 months, and it might come to fruition. So you never know. Obviously he's still at the top of his game, but I understand, and that's why when people retire from wrestling, most of the times they never retire. Danny, I think, it was extremely frustrated, and he hasn't gotten back. Hey, he was signed to AEW. He was working MLW. He was their tag champs in TNA. And whatever reason, and things didn't work out, and maybe the maturity thing or the stupidity thing. And I told him, and he knows it, that he was a stupid motherfucker. He did some dumb shit, and it was nothing cancelable. It was nothing that it was like, but it's like, you want reliable people. At our level and our stuff, was always reliable. He's always been the guy who did stuff. The first time I brought him in was when he wrestled Ice Williams for the first time at Diversion. And he never lives it down because I tell him that I thought that match fucking sucked. It was like, I thought he wasn't him. He wrestled the day before in a scramble match or the Rumble match or whichever it was and fucking killed it. And it was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, he was so tentative in that match. And took a while. We brought him back. This is where he wanted to be. And he became the guy, And right now, we need a guy. We need that top guy,
right? That
top heel that comes in. You got Duke. But Duke is 450 pounds. 400 pounds. He's a big fucking monster. That's different. Danny's a guy who he's going to chop you down just by talking.
Right.
Duke hits you once, he chops you down.
Right.
You need that guy. You need that person who can get in there with that baby face. Because I guess, is Greg a baby face? Maybe. Ice Williams. Man, who's the heel that's going to come in and talk enough shit for people to be like, man, that's a match I need to see?
Yeah. And, my money is the returning Matt Vandegrift as a heel with the most wicked licks on the mic that you'll ever hear. See if he's taking his time right now at home, man, I would be just practicing, getting that shit together, man. Because
I know he's had a little bit more of an opportunity because wrestling the Fred Rosner, the former Darren Young in New Japan. But again, even in the middle of that, Matt got hurt. You know, so. And again, it's crazy because you look at guys and it's like, man, there's a lot of motherfuckers. There's 16 people just in that tag match.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you look on the show, there's no Danny Limelight. There's no Matt Vandegrift. There's no Damian Drake's not on the show.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of, oh shit. There's no Clutch on the show. There's no Sugar Brown on the show. You know, people are like, oh yeah, and there's you know, you hear from people who want to come back. There's no Tito Escondido. There's no Che Cabrera. There's so many guys that are like, here's the show, here's the card, here's the roster, and then there's these people. It's like people forget Sugar Brown is back technically,
Yeah.
but it's trying to find something for him. Clutch, you know, he went back to Arizona. He's doing great stuff there.
Yeah.
You know, but the problem is, it's like there's 6 matches on this card, okay? But yeah, there's 40 people. But when there's not a survival of the fittest, how many of those 8 tag teams plus Transcendence who are in a 5-on-5? So that's 9 tag teams.
Right.
You can't get 9 tag teams on a regular show without leaving off all the talent that we have in singles matches.
Yeah.
It's almost like, shit, we got to downsize. But what do you downsize? Because then all of a sudden you got the Davions and the Demirs and the Rainies and the Jaden Coles and the Colin Muldoons and these younger cats that are scratching and clawing for those spots.
Yeah.
You know, Bodie's in a 5-on-5. Well, where does Bodie go next? You know, he's the Future Legends champ. You know, he does the stuff at Future Shock.
There's your heel, Joe. Time to make him a man.
You know,
the Bodie heel.
Then you got the older veterans, like the day Cody says, "Hey, I'm cleared. I'm ready to go."
Right.
Yeah, we'll let you know, Cody. No, obviously you're going to try to find a spot. Jacob Boston Young hasn't been on a show in a year. Oh shit! Guess what? September 12th, Jacob Boston Young's going to be there.
Yeah,
I can tell you right now, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
So, who's he wrestling? Maybe he wrestles the winner of Sharp versus Ice Williams.
That's a very intriguing idea. I was thinking the same thing. That's why I was getting that graphic ready.
I've already got I've got who many proclaim either the greatest champion or the second greatest champion in FSW history, Hammerstone, signed for Luck of the Draw.
Nice.
I'm going to tell you now. You know, here's the guy. Man, you've been seeing pictures of him? Holy fuck.
Dude. And I mean, yeah, that's probably the 2 words. And the fact that he has to actually go on social media and basically tell people, you know what, fuck you for throwing stuff at me. You don't know me. You're just, pathetic for doing that kind of shit. It's ridiculous how people just attack these guys for no fucking reason, not knowing anything about them.
And I always say it. It's the immoral minority. You know what I mean? It's the true 1%ers.
Yeah.
1%. Royce and Jarrell. Wherever there's a Hammerstone, there can always be a Graves. How about this match? The Gods of War reunite Hammerstone and Graves to take on Transcendence.
I mean, Transcendence should be, if you make that match happen, I think Transcendence should be just like bowing down and asking, what do you want from us from this point on? Because you talk about things that make people better. Those guys would grow, 6 months worth of wrestling in just one match, man. It's,
and we love Kross and love to have Kross, but obviously he is at a whole different level. To bring in Kevin, we got to figure out ways money wise, because, Kevin may do us a big favor, but that big favor is still going to be costly. But we got these guys in the back pocket that we can use at any time. Like I can call up Ace Austin and he's there.
Yeah.
I can call up Hammerstone and he's there. I could call up Royce and Jarrell and they're there. And Jacob Boston Young and they're there as long as they're around. I could call up TJP and he's there. Kenny King and he's there. There's so many. Tito Escondido. Hey, you got anything? Hey, what's up? You know, there's so many fucking guys. It's like, man, somebody give me a bunch of money so we can run like way more shows and run all over the country. Because the FSW alumni mixed in with the core, man, there's so many matches that would be so cool to see. Like, that's why it's like in my head, it's like, oh man, it'd be really cool to do a tag team tournament again. Because, oh shit, we can get, Che and Tito in the mix. Oh yeah, Limelight and Slice Boogie are working again, and you can get that LAX version, of them there. And then we got, oh yeah, we can bring back Royce and Jarrell for that, and we got Transcendence for that, and we got the Suavecitos are killing it for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, and you got Class in Reno, and you got the Faction, and you got all these guys, and then you got the young talent like the Mariachis, who they're getting love everywhere they go. You know what I mean? And it's like, man, how cool! It'd be almost like, oh shit, do we have to do like 4-team buys and have a 12-team tournament? Because shit, Lucas Riley and Dominic Kubrick and out of Santino are excellent. We've talked with them, and we probably had them, separately on occasions. And they were in town Mania Week doing the Winner's Circle show, and talked about using them. And it's like, wow, that would be fucking awesome. And, the Rascals are one call away if we were doing a big tournament. And we've worked with fucking Trey and Zach forever, and it's like, I just found out, guy training at the fucking school. So I almost fucked up the whole deal. So there was a guy who came in that I didn't know. And a couple weeks ago, friend of Black Swan, I guess he trained elsewhere. I'm like, who's this fucking dude? Oh, so I go up to him. I'm like, okay, this is the deal, bro. I don't know you. Oh, well, I trained for this. I haven't trained in a while. Okay, well, it's nice that Black Swan invited you to come and train, but you don't train for free. You're looking to do something, we'll give you a deal, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah. Never saw him again. So now I'm talking to AJ, who comes in early and trains with Chris Bay, who brings, Brittany, and like Brooke Havoc was doing something where she's doing different places. So she was there this week. Layla Gray's training there, Luke Curtis. So, Darius is there. And I thought that was the name Black Swan said. So I'm like, interesting. So here's this guy. He's training with these guys during the day. So I don't really know who he is. I met him once for 5 minutes, the guy. But when I said something to AJ about it, he's like, oh, yeah, he trained. He's supposed to come in. I'm like, that guy can't train, because he made it seem like that was, that was the one. He didn't even remember the conversation. So the guy's in the ring. So I'm like, hey, come here. I'm like, yeah, when we talked a couple of weeks ago, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I never met you. I'm like, what? I'm like, you didn't come in here a couple of weeks ago on the Thursday, talk to you about the thing? He's like, no, my name's Darius. I work AEW, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not really paying attention. I'm like, AEW? I didn't talk to you a couple of weeks ago about training and stuff. He's like, nah, I just moved here, and Chris invited me to come in. I'm like, oh, I'm Darius from Top Flight. What? I'm like, oh, well, I'm Joe. Hey, nice to meet you, my friend. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, there was a guy, and I thought it was you because I said something to AJ, and I could have swore the guy's name happened to be Darius. I could be totally wrong. But when I said it to AJ, he acted like, oh, yeah, that was probably the guy. You know what I mean? So now we had a nice conversation. And then I saw him again the other day, whatever. So he's going to come by the show on Sunday, I told him. And it's like, his brother doesn't live in Vegas. He does. But it's like, you live here. You now train here. He trained the other day again Wednesday. So I've seen him a few times. Like, hey, let's work out something. I'm letting you use the facility, give us a little better deal. And it's funny. It's like, yeah, I got an email from you guys from like 5 years ago because it turns out they trained in Minnesota with Sean Davari, and that's how they knew. Yeah. And that's who they knew who we were from 5 years ago. It's crazy that when I keep all these emails and all of a sudden you come across it and it's like, oh, yeah, I'm from Top Flight and we're a tag team. They weren't even signed to AEW back then.
Right.
This was like 2020 pandemic time. But they happen to be from Minnesota. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know Sean, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wow, all these guys that live in Vegas. I can still use Aria Davari. He lives in Vegas.
Yeah.
And now Top Flight's in Vegas. And now we got 2 additions to the women's division with Trish and Layla Gray because they live in Vegas. And it's like, it's insanity. We got shows after shows and again, have that nice, conversation with our people last week about doing the show right basically on the Strip. They're going to be at the show Sunday. We're hoping to lock that in. So, man, it's just sky's the limit. We've booked out the venue for some other things. Halloween, that Made Fight League where they do their boxing thing. And then we got another wrestling show November 7th. We got our Halloween show October 30th. We got a breaking tournament. Like they're on ESPN, ISKA, where they break boards and they break the cinder blocks and shit like that. They're doing that October 11th. So it's just like, man, we're staying as busy can be.
Yeah, and before you know it, WrestleMania will be here.
And then WrestleMania, we locked in Thursday at 8:00 for ourselves. Still figuring out what it is. Title Match Network. They run their own show Mania weekend. They did it at WrestleCon last year. They're going to be doing it Thursday at 11 p.m. So the Thursday time slots are locked in. Friday's pretty much done. We still got the Saturday, Sundays at noon, which I think are prime spots. We got the watch party set at the Hard Rock where, man, it's exciting, man. I'll tell you what, I hit 60 and I thought it was like, all right, it's time to start winding things down. And I'll be 100% honest, where it got to that point where it's like, man, is it worth the work? You know what I mean? Because shows are most important to me. And how many Future Shocks can you get that excited about, But then all of a sudden, for a while, the crop of rookies weren't a big deal, but now you got some great young kids, that sky's the limit. But now there's so much happening, and FSW is getting a lot of love in the business. Kevin helps, the Chris Bay thing helps, and we're out there, talk with D'Lo, trying to do some stuff and get things done Mania weekend. Another idea. I don't even know if I put it out here to this. I might have said it, but the one idea for the fans is, do color commentary with D'Lo, maybe with Chris Bay, maybe with, any of the people that are in town that want to do it. We got to deal with a place for years. Oh, how cool would it get a video wall? Well, who's paying fucking $30,000, $40,000? Oh shit, these guys want to partner with us, and hopefully we can help get it rented out for them and these other venues. Hey, you guys can use the video wall. Obviously, that's extra because that's their money. But maybe somebody Mania weekend who wants to put on a big production will pay a few extra dollars to have a literally 15 by 12 foot video wall. That's 180 square feet. That's a big motherfucker. Yeah. The idea is, we're in the process of contemplating redesigning the whole, entrance area because we may have access to keeping that video wall in the FSW arena, which only makes it better. Who's to say, I'll be honest, we signed a 3-year lease that I didn't want to sign. I thought the price increase was ridiculous. I thought it was going to be really difficult. But because of Mania, it's brought in that extra income that covers that and then some.
Right.
Now we have only 2 years left, and now there's another Mania.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about this year. Now, what happens next year when there is no Mania? Well, the way they're pushing Vegas, maybe we're going to get the 2-day SummerSlam. Maybe we're going to get a new 2-day Rumble. Maybe when they come to Vegas, it's always going to be a 2-day premium live event.
Yeah.
And they could do a 2-day, I don't know if they could do it. They could steal our idea of the 2-day Rumble. When we did the anniversary show, we did when we came back, we did the Rumble day 1 and we did the match versus the champion day 2.
Yeah. And there's rumors right now about, because you got the women's Rumble, which would headline night 1, and the guys headline night 2.
There you go. So Vegas is going to be, if they don't get Mania, if they're so adamant about making Mania happen this year again, why would they not want next year to have a premium live event there? Because as you saw what they did with SummerSlam, same thing. Undertaker had a show,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and they had things throughout the week. Because wait a second, if we did SummerSlam, we had 60,000 people. Well, if you had a 1-day SummerSlam, you have 60,000 people. You had a 2-day SummerSlam, you had 115,000 people.
Yeah.
Never did that before. So you've made now Royal Rumbles are no longer happening at Madison Square Garden.
Yep, exactly.
They're happening at a giant stadium. They're happening at Allegiant Stadium. We thought they were all dumb back in the day.
Right.
Money in the Bank, they're going to put it at Allegiant. Who gives a fuck about Money in the Bank? They had to move it to the smaller venue.
Yeah.
But now they've opened up the business to where now they can. They did it once. They did it with SummerSlam. So now SummerSlam ain't going to go back to 1 day next year. You fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Now they got
it's already been announced. It's in Minnesota. It's 2 days.
There you go. And now they're going to figure out how to get the Rumble and how to get the Survivor Series. And and then they go to Saudi Arabia. I've been hearing a two WrestleMania rumors.
Yeah.
Not 2 days, but two
WrestleMania. And you also, now you have, because of that, now you have the other guy over there starting to talk his delusions of potentially running 2-day pay-per-views. So that opens up.
Let me tell you something. This is what they're going to do. If I was in charge, this is what we do. You run one WrestleMania in the United States, and you run one WrestleMania internationally.
Right.
Because now you can go to England and run it there. You don't have to worry about getting the United States fans to come over because you have one in the United States. But now you can have one in Japan if you want it. You can have one in Asia if you want it. You can have one in Europe if you want to.
Yeah.
Not one in each continent each year, but hey, in 2 years they're going to go to Japan and run the fucking Tokyo Dome.
Right.
And that's where WrestleMania is. I don't know if it's effective to do it, but there's a lot of people in Japan. You could probably put 60,000 easy and run a 2-day WrestleMania in Japan if you wanted to. Hey, all of a sudden Nakamura got signed again, or they bring in Okada at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, now you could do it internationally and not lose out on the audience, because there's a lot of international people who still come to Mania, but there are a lot who would, but they don't, and it's just too costly for them. But look what AEW did by doing the thing in London, where they sold 50, 60,000 seats. They can't sell that in the United States.
Right.
So imagine WWE coming to town, and they're doing a WrestleMania in England, where the people were going nuts to fucking begin with. They sold out Wembley when they did SummerSlam. It wasn't like, it isn't a crazy idea. So you do And again, you start off that way, 2 WrestleManias.
Yep. Yeah.
And now you got one internationally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, and that's, again, it's funny how people bitch about prices and TV deals and I don't want to pay this for that and blah, 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 blah. The thing is that everyone kind of forgets it's a business. It's a business. And right now, it's the hottest it's been. So you have to capitalize. If TKO does not,
in 1988, I either had to have a cheater box or pay $50 in 1988 to watch fucking a WWE, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, WrestleMania. In 1998, you had to pay for it. Yep. In 2008, you probably had to pay for it.
Well,
I don't know what year it started.
Well,
you didn't have to pay for it.
It started when they introduced the network, and that was right around 2014.
Okay. So there you go. So for the last 10 years, you've gotten it. So now ESPN, which has a multitude of sports, like I have no interest in doing it. I love college football. I love watching football, period. I hate not being able to watch sometimes the Monday night game because it was on ESPN or whatever. Right. I would try to get the free trial if I wanted. I remember the Chiefs were playing Buffalo and I wanted to watch the game. So I got the thing because of ESPN Plus. But you're paying $30. All these people, it's $30. And it's like, yeah, but you're getting all the pay-per-views. You're getting college football. You're getting pro football, the Sunday game. You're getting all their programming. It isn't like you're paying extra. Like I already get Paramount. I never watched the UFC because I ain't paying $60 or $70 for it. It was on ESPN, but you had to pay for the pay-per-view. Now you got to pay for Paramount Plus. You know what we're going to hear? We're going to hear people complaining that instead of $12.95, they had to pay $15.95 and they got the UFC. I got to pay $3 more. And it's like, that's where we're at in this day and age. Cancel your cable that you used to pay $100 a month for 900 channels that you never watched anyway. Because what'd you watch on cable? ESPN, USA because it had WWE, TNT because it had fucking Nitro. You know what I mean? It is like, supposedly, there's so many people, all these influencers, all these people making so much money, not really working for a living. Right. But they're bitching about, oh my God, I got to pay $30 a month. Then go to a watch fucking party because there's plenty of those.
And the other thing that's fascinating is these people who complain, who, like you said, if you didn't have a black box or, you brought up the start of it in the late 90s when you had WCW, WWE, and then ECW. That was about $125 roughly, somewhere in that range, $100 to $125 to watch all 3 pay-per-views in 1 month from those 3 different companies.
But what's funny? When you go watch AEW, you got to pay $40, $50 for the pay-per-view.
And you get nothing. You get a one-time view.
One view, $50. I don't think it's $40. It's probably $50, maybe more.
No, it's 50. And then TNA.
This idea,
it's this. Yep. And
you
now
pay for it.
And now we'll see what TNA. It depends on what that contract becomes for their television deal. How they're going to restructure, but there's a chance that maybe ESPN picks up TNA for their pay-per-views, right? So if that happens, now you're looking at them getting money from ESPN to hopefully get ESPN more subscribers. It's a good trade-off, So I just think that everyone just likes to find something to bitch and complain about.
Either way, money has to be made,
right,
to do that. It's like, okay, we're in a take what WWE does and divide it by like a billion, and that's what we're getting. Okay.
Right.
Now, if the Silverton said, "Hey Joe, here's $25,000. We want you to put as many people in as you can. We don't want you to charge to let people in." Or they say, "Hey Joe, we want you to let everybody in for free." I'm like, okay, well, you're going to have to give me money because I have to pay for things. So when we do stuff, say at the Lee's Family Forum, we're talking about doing something in April. And I pitch to them because they give us a few dollars. We're going to have a couple of matches. It's going to be during the hockey thing. April 10th, they want to do something to set up for WrestleMania in there.
Okay.
So they want to be involved with us doing some things. So in the meantime, I just sent them a proposal. They want to do 2 matches in the entryway like we did before. And it'll be during the Silver Knights game, April 10th. It's a Friday. Everybody knows. And they love Bodie and they like Dice. And, we're trying to get, a couple of matches together. My pitch to him was, hey, I got a different idea too. How about when you have, say, an event that won't have as many people because the hockey is their main thing, compared to the volleyball, the lacrosse, the Nighthawks, who do pretty decent. And that was my pitch during a Nighthawks game. So let's do a Nighthawks game at, say, 2:00. All right. At 5:00, immediately following, we give you a full FSW show. Obviously, we could put it, being it's the Nighthawks, it's possible to set up the ring right afterwards and do it there.
Right.
But I'm okay with doing it in that entryway, that foyer, because they have it where it's upstairs and it's downstairs. You could probably have 500 to 800 people around the ring. I think it would look super cool. But the idea is we're not going to charge for tickets. The idea is you buy a ticket to the Nighthawk game and you get a full-blown FSW show. Right. Well, I'm not going to give you a full-blown FSW show and use only Future Shock guys. I'm going to use Ice Williams. I'm going to try to get a Hammerstone. I'm going to try to make this something because now we're going to have an opportunity to have new fans come to this event because they're already there.
Right.
Now, oh shit, these guys are really good. Because there's always the perception of people who don't know about independent wrestling, who think it's a bunch of backyard kids who don't really know what the fuck they're doing. And these guys aren't anything. But it's like, hey, FSW, the home of Killer Kross and Solo Sikoa and Zoe Stark. Oh, yeah, I know who they are.
Right.
And now we do a show. It's included with your ticket. But we can't do it for free. I got to pay Hammerstone. I got to pay Ice. I got to pay Bodie. So now I have to work out a number that they already know that they got to pay us. We're bringing the ring. We're doing the stuff. We're setting it up. And they're understanding that they're going to do this as a way to hopefully draw our fans. When we do the 2 matches, our FSW family, they're probably not coming to go watch one match during the first intermission and one during the second intermission.
Right.
But I guarantee you a good portion of our fans that are going to come see a full-blown show and the ticket to the Nighthawks are $20, whether they come 5 minutes before our matches start, or they come and watch the game too, they're also going to go to the arena and buy a soda and buy a drink and buy a sandwich or whatever the fuck they're going to do. And it's like, that's the partnerships we're going to do. But the way to do that is we have to make money from it because I have to pay people. And hopefully, I'm not one that it's like, and people have been like, oh, you should charge them like $50,000. Dude, I want them to do it. Okay. I don't want them to do it once. I want them to do it 10 times. I want them to do it where they say, wow, this is good value. We bring in FSW and it's good for business.
Right.
So
Exactly.
when ESPN pays $7 billion, WWE needs to make, okay, they were getting whatever
Right.
for the Peacock deal. I think it was $320 million a year or
Yeah.
something like that.
Sometimes. Yeah.
And now they're up to like $560 million a year, or
Right.
however it breaks down. Okay. And the same thing with the Netflix deal. But you have to now take a look. Back in the day, they would get hundreds of thousands of pay-per-views
Right.
in a system that wasn't the greatest for them. It's like us.
Right.
We would get like 30-40%. So, they did a billion buys. 50 million. They made 50 million on the pay-per-view. No, they're lucky to get a deal where they're getting 40 to 50%.
Right.
Because the cable company and the DirecTV and whoever they went through, they got to get their huge cut. And you know how much production costs for things like that.
Right.
So now, if you're making 20 million on a pay-per-view and you're running 12 or 13, that's 300 million a year that you're benefiting it from.
Yeah.
Well, why would I go to ESPN or Peacock and do it for 150 million a year? Well, I got to figure out, man, if we max out, we might get 400 million or whatever, 300 million. Well, if we're going to get 500 million, hey, these people can watch it for the fucking subscription. Like, again, the cheapest way to get Peacock. I pay 99 cents a month for the year.
Yeah.
Because I got a deal. I was going to cancel. I do that with, I know when in advance. It's like my Sirius XM radio. I love it.
Right.
But they want to charge me, your subscription's up. You got to pay $30 a month, Joe. Yeah, I'm sorry. I need to cancel. I like to talk to somebody. Now it's set up. You don't even need to talk to anybody. Hey, I'm an automated system and we want to keep you here. We're going to give you the deal that we normally give, and it's $7.99 a month, which is what I've been paying for years. But they try to get you for the 30 because they're people that'll pay it. But they'll charge you $7.99. I can go to Stars and I'm about to cancel. They're going to give me the secret rate. And, that's why I have every fucking streaming service whatsoever.
Yeah.
How many people got MGM? Not many. I got it. Pay 99 cents a month. Who cares? Or I'll pay $4 a month. Who cares?
Yeah.
And it's like, I got Stars. And that's $2.99. And I got the HBO Max, Disney Plus that I don't watch that much, but hey, I want to watch Punisher. And Hulu combination.
Yeah.
It's $30 a month for the three of them.
Yeah.
Well, I got to pay $20 if I wanted, HBO Max to begin with.
Right.
Netflix, I think it's $18.99, $12.99 for Prime. I watch a lot of shit on Prime. I love it, but I also get free shipping for. My wife buys shit on Amazon like every fucking day. Like, dude, like I got to go to Kohl's for returns like every 2 weeks. She buys like 10 things to bring back 9. Well, I can't really see how it fits, so I got to get this. So I ordered 10 pairs of fucking shoes to hopefully keep 1 or 2 because it's free shipping. Who gives a shit? So I'm always going to have Prime. Right. So, anybody who's complaining, man, anybody got, dude, pay for it yourself. It's fucking $5 a month, you cheap motherfuckers. Nothing like people asking for people's fucking Netflix accounts and shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that you can pay for and get endless entertainment for 3 hours on Sunday is Survival of the Fittest. Look at that. 5 p.m.
And we throw in a free podcast where you got 2 hours of entertainment for free.
Right. Right. And just one dropout during the show. So,
hey, As the legendary Canyon or Brian Cage would say, who better?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So check it out. Survival of the Fittest this Sunday, 5 p.m. Getting close on selling out front row. I got to get the update from the Silverton because, we need to get a better system than whenever the guy's around. He messages me when I ask him 4 days later, like, hey, can I get an update on the tickets? Because I do need to know.
Yeah.
So, stacked card, the best of the best. Surprises are in store, carrying.
Not that surprise. Not that surprise.
Yeah. Again, that's on
I don't
him.
want to bankrupt you.
Yeah, because again, that would be advertised. But you never know. Like I said, there are surprises. You never know who's going to come out of the woodwork. Hey, you can meet Darius from Top Flight.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be there.
Right.
Might have a merch table.
And just make sure that you don't mistake him for Darius from
like,
the
hey,
other
dude,
night.
did you buy a ticket? You buy a ticket? Fuck you doing in here? How'd you get in? So, but yeah, so it should be fun and frolic. There should be a lot of familiar faces. We got a lot of our regulars obviously on hand for this one. Bad news, my guy Eddie Morales. He usually comes with a party of 13 to 18 at the casino shows. I'm like, hey, Silverton show. Oh, bro, I just moved to Chicago. Oh. Man. So that's a very big positive because at the last Survival of the Fittest, which we sold less front rows than we did already, his crew bought 18 of them.
Wow. Yeah.
And we're still ahead of what we were.
Yeah.
So that's a very positive sign for wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, again, it's amazing.
So you can still get a front row because Eddie won't be there with his crew. Because if Eddie was going to be there, and even if he did like 14, we would have been out of front rows.
Right.
So you could thank Eddie for your front row ticket if you buy one after today.
Or if you're listening to this and you know any of Eddie's crew can buy tickets and come see the show.
Yeah. I told Eddie, I'm like, hey, we can hit up your friends. I know you're the ringleader. We had another guy, Jason. He moved to like North Carolina or something. He's a real estate guy. And they would come all dressed up like in old time wrestler gears. Like somebody would be the Macho Man. And they were a good crew of like 12. And once Jason didn't bring it together, the crew stopped coming, So yeah, nothing worse when the ringleader leaves.
Right. Right. And if you go to shows now and you happen to be part of the Jason crew or Eddie crew, let Joe know.
Yeah. I'll give you that discount. You don't have to buy them through the Silverton. I'll save you the fees.
Yeah. So
I always try to pick up the fees for our people.
Yeah. And the plus side of that is not having to deal with the Silverton box office as well. So
yes. Because the day of, it's almost impossible. The only way you can is you got to find one of the posters and scan the QR code because they don't even have a box office anymore.
No.
You run events without having a box office. It is mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that you've already got your tickets for All for One when they're coming in September, and I've known about it for 9 months.
Right. But we can't get up on the marquee until 2 weeks beforehand if we're lucky. Right. I'm like, hey, where's the stuff? Oh yeah, I wasn't able to open the file. Dude, I sent you. You said you got it 3 weeks ago. It's like, what the fuck? It's all right. Now they're charging us for the sound and the lighting, so now we're paying another $400 on top of. So I was right. He discounted the sound $100, but then charged us for the lighting too.
Lighting. Yeah. Well, there you go.
So if you're a venue and you want a show, give us a great deal, and we can bring 400 to 700, or maybe even more, depending how much you want to pay. If you want to pay a lot, we can bring you 1,500, 2,000 people. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And we won't charge anybody to come into the show. And we run a free show.
There you go.
Headlined by the dream match. I'll tell everybody what the dream match is, what I want. Because the place we're talking about, I want to do Karrion Kross versus Matt Cardona.
Yeah.
Imagine how many people would be on a spot on the strip if you didn't have to pay for that show on WrestleMania Thursday.
Right. Right. And
thousands.
And figure out where those guys set up their merch tables that doesn't end up in a line down the escalators, down the strip. I mean, that would be an incredible visual, man.
Don't worry. And I'll be smart. I'll make sure that's a separate VIP area where just to get in it costs you $5 each. So when the line's 4,000 people, I'll still make 20,000 off Matt. I'll finally make money off Matt Cardona's merch. We could have Shotzi drive in the tank.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think Matt Cardona stole it, so I'm not sure.
Hey, that's, I wonder if Shotzi, could be making a bank off of that. Like,
what better than having a tank on a bridge?
And ride in the tank with Shotzi. $500,
She could drive it on the one of the bridges.
Right.
On the strip.
Yeah. Shotzi will take you from Excalibur to Mandalay Bay.
Right. Instead of the tram, you did take,
right. It's Uber with your favorite wrestler.
There you go. Shit. $50.
Oh man.
See, I'm always thinking on my Mania weekend how to generate more revenue.
Right.
So I can give back to the wrestling fans of the world.
Right. Right. And get the rent paid off for the third year as well. So
well, then maybe it'll be the SummerSlam
right
weekend. Because hey, remember we did SummerSlam when they were out here.
Yeah.
We did GCW FSW packed house at 12 noon on the Saturday of SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because they did the Saturday SummerSlam that day.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the first Saturday pay-per-views that they were switching to. Yeah. Well, here it is. Survival of the Fittest again. It's this Sunday, August 17th at 5 p.m.
That's right. Who will be the mystery partner?
Yeah.
For Heroes.
That's the big question, and it's going to be someone I think the fans will be very happy with, and
somebody they know and love.
Yeah. So catch it again this Sunday, the 17th, 5 p.m. And if you're not in town, you can watch on Title Match Network. And until next week, everyone, thank you again for tuning in. And happy wrestling to everyone.